This is a clip from the Red Cow Arcade podcast.
Troma Entertainment. For those who don't know, B-movie, really what they were famous for initially was in the 70s, they made like, their business model was like, let's make gross out and or sex comedies, just like totally low budget, perverted movie, very much like Roger Corman, and just pump them out and just try to sell them on, basically like, let's exploit the home video market as much as possible, or let's play in theaters and so it's run by indie filmmaking legend Lloyd Kaufman and his partner Michael Hertz. In the 80s, they made The Toxic Avenger, which kind of turned into kind of like a subversive superhero property that actually spawned a children's cartoon in the 90s or late 80s called The Toxic Crusaders, because it kind of was on the back of Ninja Turtles, so it could make cool action figures. I discovered them because I was a fan of South Park, and the South Park guys made Cannibal the Musical, and Cannibal the Musical got distributed by Troma. And when I bought Cannibal, there was like this advertisement for like, learn how to make movies by Lloyd Kaufman. And I was like, I want to learn how to make movie. And so I bought his book, and it was this very ideological, low budget manifesto. It's good to suffer for art, there was a real element of like, here's how to make fake blood and that kind of stuff, which is very appealing, I think, to a 14-year-old. And so I was a big fan throughout my teens and then somewhat in college, and they distributed my first movie and I won their film festival in 2006 and stuff, which was I think for my life with Troma, that was sort of, it ends around 2006. But one of the things that I loved was when DVD hit, they took advantage of DVD because the home video market was really big for them. And they would release 2 and 3 disc DVD releases for their stupid low budget movies. And for their films, there was one in the late 90s, one in 2000, and then 2007 on and on. So it was Terror Firmer, Citizen Toxie, Poultrygeist, and then now Return to Nukem High. Each one of them had a documentary about the making of the movie. So they really kind of went in depth and did like a feature-length documentary each. And I just love content. I love movies about making movies. So I watched all of them lots of times when I was a kid. It makes sense to a high schooler. You're like, yeah, you show up to a location and try to steal, try to shoot while you can and try not to get too much blood all over the place. And it's very much like watching it. It's very much how I made movies when I was like 17. I'm 35 now. And I revisited these things, and not just that, but I've made a lot of movies. So like, I've like learned a lot about leadership, and I've learned a lot about what motivates people and what doesn't motivate people. I've learned about recognition and recognizing good work, and how you can try to prevent people from doing bad work. And it's so weird to watch something that was important to me at that age, where everything is being done like factually incorrectly. Now it's one thing so for those who are confused, it's Lloyd Kaufman, at various points in these documentaries, he's in his 50s or 60s, but an older guy, quite a bit older guy, as the leader of an unpaid workforce of kind of like teens and 20-year-olds, but then all of them have like a high IQ, like assistant to him. One of those times for Romeo and Juliet, that was James Gunn. Wow, James Gunn was like the smart one that was helping Lloyd make the movie. Each movie, it's a different person because that guy doesn't stay around. That guy's got one movie in him.
Yeah. And you better take advantage of one time.
Yeah. It's crazy. Whether it be the screenwriter who is also the kind of AD or the producer or what, it's always like sort of like the shadow director of the project, honestly. It's why Romeo and Juliet's probably their best movie. It's James Gunn directed that movie essentially. But Return to Nukem High, which he made in 2012, which turned into 2 movies, whatever. I was on the set of that because I was helping to shoot a documentary for my friend Jeff, who was making a movie about Lloyd. And so they released a documentary on their Blu-ray in like 2017. I had never seen it. I ordered the Blu-ray only recently and I got to watch it. And First of all, it's just really weird to watch a movie about a bunch of people you were hanging around for a weekend. It's like, hey, I know all these people. But it felt like, even though it was, most of the shoot was in 2012, 2013, it felt like a relic of this 2006, 2090s thing where any of this was remotely acceptable. In fact, it was more than acceptable. It was glorified. It was romantic. It was like, here's a bunch of people suffering for no good reason.
So it's going to be a long day. It's going to be intense, but it's going to be pretty cool. Lots of exciting things. Is everyone excited?
Just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, the crew and cast all stayed in a funeral home where they slept on little thin beds, like sleeping bags, essentially, one next to the other, co-ed. When I was interviewing people, one of the special effects ladies was like, yeah, like the shower drain is clogged because men are jerking off into it and stuff.
I've asked around to see who's jerking off in the shower, and no one could give me a straight answer.
Totally unsanitary. Between COVID, safe working conditions, it's just like none of it would fly.
Yeah, and he's using pretty abusive language while he's
yeah, and all of these things, he's screaming at people. He's going like he's like these are the stupidest in every single one. He's like, this is the stupidest group of people I've ever worked with. They're all fucking stupid.
Stupidity, incompetence, maybe that's better. Stupidity, sloth.
Yeah, I mean, guys, it's either retardedness or it's just sloth or whatever it is. Why didn't you notice there's no fucking? Why did you not notice it's not there? If you're really having a heart attack, I'll take it seriously. Otherwise, fuck you.
It's unbelievable the stupidity on this production, and I'm sorry to say it, but that's why I'm nice. Because, I've been nice. People think I've been nicer on this production. It's not that I'm nicer. It's that the people are so stupid, I can't get angry with them. I cannot get angry. I can get angry with someone who is smart and lazy. I can't get angry with stupid people. There's nothing I can do about it. That's why this production is different from other Troma movies where people are just lazy or evil. These people are wonderful, and most of them are terrific, but there are a few who are really, really fucking stupid.
And he keeps, causing them to, every movie, half of them leave, or he fires them.
You're gonna get fired. I'm not joking. If you're gonna get fucking fired, I'm gonna go talk to him.
Which makes now a total of 5 people who have been removed from this production, which is pretty amazing because in the past, usually people flee. They usually leave on their own accord.
In the Citizen Toxie one, he goes, look, all I know is that if you kick a mule in the ass hard enough, he'll carry you around, and you're just not kicking your mules hard enough. Just abuse these people more.
Mules, if you kick a mule hard enough, you get it to pull the plow. That's all I know. And you have mules, and you're not kicking them hard enough. It's ridiculous.
Again, I found it kind of charming and funny and wow, what a psycho, At one time, now I'm watching it, I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? These are all young people. He's got age on them by decades.
Yeah.
And it's well, okay, maybe if he was making a weird David Lynch movie or something, but he's making...
you'd think you could make that a fun experience.
Yeah.
I don't know, when we shoot one of our Box Max specials or something, you're not yelling at us, calling us the stupidest people.
I guess there's nothing to cancel when you're talking about the president of Troma, but...
Yeah. I'm. Is he still making movies? Did he get out at the right time? Maybe.
I think so. Well, that Blu-ray released in 2017. So for a film that they had shot 5 years before that, he was bitching on the Blu-ray about the Cannes Film Festival won't let them do performance art to promote their movies anymore. They used to in the streets get drunk and dress up as their characters and hand out tickets and stuff, and they can't do any of that anymore. So yeah, it's it's over.
It's over.
I guess for me, the weird part, but
Breasts, they're squirting milk. That's what it's all about. I told you that. You don't listen. You don't listen. I said the breast, like this. I did like this.
So they're staying in this funeral home. They had an incident with a fire. So they all had to run out of the basement of a funeral home because the place is almost going to be on fire. And their first scene that they shot was a sex scene with one of the crew members was the nude guy in it. And there's no, his junk is totally exposed on top of one of the actresses. And they were shooting it not in a set, but in one of the rooms that they weren't occupying in the funeral home. So it's amongst where they're living. So it's extra skeezy.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, this is so. I don't think any of these young people would go for this now.
No, it's over.
Over.
That's over.
It's over. It's so over. I'm surprised they even released the video. Like, I maybe I would have just released the movie and not like.
Absolutely.
I don't know, but it was really eye opening too, just to see a director screaming his head off at people who are there voluntarily. It's a weird thing.
Getting not paid and being verbally and physically abused, basically.
Like it would just be so easy to be nice. Like,
yeah.
I mean, how hard would that? You can be corrective and be nice. You can say, like, instead of him being like, yeah, I was kind of hoping, but I think what you could do instead is, that's clear that like, I want you to do something differently. Instead, he would be like, no, man, I mean, what the fuck are you doing? Like, concentrate, would you? It should be like this. And then he gives them a line read or something.
Now do it again, and don't turn so fast, Doug. And I don't want to even be slightly diplomatic. I wouldn't blame you if you walked out. I wouldn't blame you one bit if you walked out. I would. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. I know I'm fucking right.
That was kind of an interesting little experience for me as somebody who this art form is something that's very important to me that I'm still very active with, but I kind of have my roots in watching these documentaries and being like, oh, maybe I could do that. I'm like, don't do that.
Well, I mean, he's in ABO.
He is in ABO, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
All right. So do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, you got it. All we really need to do is set you up sitting against a solid color wall.
All right. Well,
and then we can shoot your angle.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct.
The premise is supposed to be like, we take ourselves very seriously, but we don't take the content seriously because the content is comedy or whatever. I've heard him say that before. And it's like, but you take it too far. It feels like you don't even care about the movie itself. It feels like you care. The thing you're taking seriously is like, the way that you're regarding yourself. Well, I don't know. I can barely explain it. An example is like, he'll be screaming at people in a way that implies that when we eventually shoot the movie, you'll have to correct this. But you're like, no, but you're shooting the scene right now. You're on location. You have to leave in 2 hours. He's just like making a scene and telling everybody like, this is the proper way to make a film and stuff. It's like, but now's not the time to do all this education. Educate them like in the evening when you're reviewing dailies. Don't like, you need to get your shot, don't you? Isn't there a movie you're making? And then, or other times he'll just completely change the plan and shoot something else or cut a scene haphazardly. And I'm like, you don't even give a fuck about this movie.
Yeah, it's almost like a performance piece making the movie.
Same with the actors. His AD department should have the bloody actors here.
Okay,
Part of the filming, right? We shouldn't. How are we going to remember? And script boy, please remember this. We are not thinking ahead. We are not thinking ahead. Now, for example, is there not going to be blood? Is the blood boy here with the blood?
There's no blood yet, boy.
Well, there may be blood, though. Think ahead. Have it standing by, so we don't have to stop and ask for the blood.
Everyone in the room.
Think ahead. That's all I'm suggesting.
You were absolutely right, Lloyd. Can we do the take? Can we rehearse?
Yes, rehearse it in slow motion.
Okay.
I have to say, I still really am very entertained by the documentaries. I think they're a lot more entertaining than the movies themselves. They're worth as a relic. They're worth visiting, I'd say.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.